All righty, well, thank you for being here, and I want to thank Brockport for being here with us, and all the people who are here. I want to thank, we have a lot of people, but in general, I want to thank everyone who pulled together during this awful situation. You had a combination of law enforcement, local officials, teachers and staff, and parents and kids all pulling together in what never should have happened. And it's an awful situation. We'll talk about it. So I want to thank everybody for being here for that. We have our I'm going to just acknowledge some folks who are here. Our superintendent, Sean Bruno, from the Brockport Central School District. He does a great job. Under Sheriff Corey Brown from Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Andrew Jordan, he's from NYSUT, the New York State Teachers Board of Directors, and he's also co-president of the BOCES United Professionals. We have Captain Patricio Rojas from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Mark Cuzzapoli, the Chief of Police of Brockport, Dr. Leanne Charlesworth, Director of Social Work Undergraduate Program at Nazareth College. You'll hear why she's here in a bit. Where are you? Good. Yep. Dr. Erin Cole, Assistant Professor as well at Nazareth. Jim Garner, a social worker from the Greece Central School District. And then we have some members of the district's administration team. And if you're on the Board of Ed in Brockport, raise your hands. Thank you so much. I know it's not easy to be a Board of Education member, and you do a great job. And how about other folks in the audience who are staff or teachers here at Brockport? Raise your hands. Thank you. We love our teachers and staff. Our schools are so important. I've always supported them. In fact, as you know, during COVID, it was my doing as leader, as majority leader, to make sure that our schools got money. Monroe School District's got about $480 million for all the COVID bills, and Brockport here got $6.5 million to help everyone through COVID and keep the teachers employed and keep all the staff employed and things like that. So that's important as well. So I thank you. And then we have some students and the student support partners. I met a whole bunch of them as I came in. Thank you for the good work that you all do as well. I love our schools, and they're so important to our future and our kids. And Brockport is such a fine school district that I just thank you all for everything you've done. Oh, and the Deputy Mayor of Brockport Village is here. Mayor Crane, thank you for being here. Pardon? Deputy, oh, I don't want to get you in trouble with the mayor, that's right. The village deputy mayor is here as well. Okay, and did I mention Jim Garner? I did, okay, good. Jim, where are you? Thank you, Jim. He's a social worker in the Greece Central School District. He's with the Nazareth folks, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, before I begin, I want to wish everybody a good holiday season, a happy Easter, happy Passover. To everybody. Hope everyone's with their family and has a good Easter holiday. I thank you for that. And second, I want to wish the Blue Devils well. I hear you had a pretty good season, better than mine. I was on the Madison High School basketball team. We weren't very good. Our team's motto at Madison was, "We may be small, but we're slow." We weren't very good. I had a pretty good jump shot. But in any case, it's good to be here. So, look, we all know what happened. Last Thursday, New York saw an unprecedented wave of swatting attacks. False reports of mass shootings taking place in 36 school districts throughout New York State, including Brighton and Brockport schools here in Monroe County. And yesterday, the Spencerport School District became the latest victim of a swatting attack with a bomb threat that sent shivers down the community. This is unprecedented. It's hitting in every corner of the state, from Rochester to Buffalo to Syracuse to Albany to the Hudson Valley to Long Island. In total, police had to go to over 220 schools to check in. Many schools were put on lockdown. Thousands of students who didn't know what was going on, and parents were just terrified. This is traumatizing. Traumatizing. It's traumatizing for our students, for our teachers, for the parents, and everyone else. I mean, I have a 4-year-old grandson. My children are 32 and 34. Two other grandchildren, but they're too little to think of going to school yet. One's 1 month and one's 10 months. But imagine the horror when a parent hears there might be an active shooter in the school. Imagine the horror of the students. It's traumatizing. And even though it's soon discovered as a false alarm, the trauma doesn't go away. The trauma does not go away. So these are despicable. This is not just something that happens. This is something we must do everything we can to prevent, because it causes such damage, psychological and otherwise. And who's ever doing it ought to be brought to justice, and I'm going to talk about that in a while. But our law enforcement here, our school, did a great job when this happened. So it's not their problem. It is their problem, but it's not that they didn't do anything wrong. They're great. They should be praised. And I am praising them for all they have done. All they have done. But it should not happen. And as good as our Brockport police are, our Monroe County Sheriff's Office is, since this kind of swatting can come certainly from out of state and maybe from overseas, without the help of the federal government, it's going to be much, much harder to stop it, put an end to this once and for all. And that's why I am here. As you may not know, kids, but maybe you do, I'm the majority leader of the U.S. Senate, the first ever from New York. So I have a little clout around here. And I'm going to use it to do everything I can to stop this evilness of swatting. I don't know what kind of perverse, sick individual or individuals are doing this, but they have to be brought to justice. And in addition, not as important as the anguish it causes teachers and parents and students, it also wastes thousands of dollars in police resources and diverts emergency services away from real life. You know, if you have to send an ambulance, 5 ambulances to the school here, who knows where that ambulance might have gone if they didn't have to come here. So we need action. And today, here in Brockport, but for national purposes, because this isn't just occurring in New York, I'm announcing a 3-point plan to stop this from happening. Stop it once and for all. Once and for all, because it's just despicable. I heard of one instance, I don't know if it happened here, but I've heard of instances where kids, I'm an emotional person, where kids send notes to their parents, I may not see you again, I love you. Now, even after it's determined that this is a hoax, that stays for a long time. It does. We have to stop it. So here is my 3-point plan. First, I'm asking the FBI to do a full investigation. Our New York State Police, our county sheriffs, our local Brockport police are doing a great job, but they need the FBI there. The FBI is doing some stuff now, but now it's got to be all hands on deck. They've got to launch a full-fledged investigation as to what has happened. All hands on deck for the FBI. The FBI has resources that can reach across state lines if this is happening from someone across state lines, and even overseas. And they are very good at cybersecurity. They can find people in every corner of the globe. Second, I'm calling to supercharge the FBI to request $10 million specifically in this year's budget that the FBI will just do to target swatting. They will be able to hire personnel, they will be able to buy machinery, they will be able to use cyber security, and they will be able to use the social media to find out who did it and then bring them to justice. And that $10 million can only be used to go after swatting. And third, we need the federal government to start tracking these crimes. They don't do it now. When you can track a crime, you can find out what's happened. How many were from overseas? How many occurred here? How many used this language? How many used that language? Maybe this is one person. Maybe it's a whole lot of people. We just don't know yet. But we got to find that out quickly. And by immediately compiling the statistics, they can really help. We can't figure out the trends and solve the problem without data. And the FBI has to start tracking swatting, and I'm going to ask them to issue a full report on how these crimes evolved. So, again, to say what happened here in Rochester, what happened at Brockport and Spencerport, and all the other schools throughout the state where this happened, throughout the country, is terrifying. Terrifying. And it doesn't just go away. Here, mid-morning, the school day was in full swing. Students and staff were put into a lockdown. They had to sit and wait for close to an hour while the sheriff's department, as they should have done, gone room to room to clear the building. The threats weren't real, but the emotional toll and panic was. I cannot stress enough how serious this is. It just gets me. The community here is lucky to have such exemplary officers who responded so quickly. We had 3 police departments. We had the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, the Brockport Police Department, and the SUNY Brockport Campus Police came over from across the way. I've been there a lot. And they had their time and resources used for that rather than other things. And as I said, it didn't just happen in New York. On the same day, it happened in Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and other states. And the fact that the police had to go over 220 schools in New York is just awful. The swatting attacks can cost a lot. In fact, one school on Long Island in 2014, a swatting prank cost them $100,000 over a fake bomb threat. That was unusual, but it costs money. That's the least of it, but that's still there. And after reports that these incidents are on the rise, we have to do a lot more. And these incidents started to arise. It became apparent how this was not one but dozens of school districts. And they all got, so far from the information we have, almost the exact same phone call of a false mass shooter. So when that happened, I called the FBI and I said, get on the case. And they're doing some stuff, but now we're pushing them to do a whole lot. It's no secret these crimes are hard to track. Bad actors can use virtual private networks and voice over internet protocol. So if this started, and I'm just picking a place, if it started in, Budapest, they could have sent it to Canada and then sent it here. Now, they have the means to track this. It takes a while. It takes some money. It takes some resources. They have the means to find out where this happens. And our FBI, our law enforcement, works with DOD, the Department of Defense, that is, because it's very important for them to know to protect the men and women who are in our armed forces. So they can do it. Even if someone is hiding in a remote corner of the world, they can eventually find them and then bring them to justice. But it takes resources and focus, and that's what we have to do. So, we also need to know if it's some coordinated effort to terrorize our schools. We don't know that yet. If it is, we have to take that, we have to deal with that issue and go after it. But the FBI can help our state police and local because they have reach beyond state lines, and they also have the kind of technical expertise working with the Defense Department that local police departments are not asked to have, because this hasn't happened here, but every day there are cyber attacks or attempted cyber attacks with the military and with some law enforcement. So this is what we're going to do. Think the FBI agents are the best when it comes to finding hackers and squatters like this. Think of them, the people we're going to hire with this $10 million, as a cyber SWAT team to go after those who are swatting our schools. That's what it's going to be. And another point, once we catch a few of these, this is school, otherwise I was going to use such a not nice word, but I won't. But once we catch a few of these sons of guns, it's a deterrent. A lot of these crazy, sick, disturbed people who are doing this think I'll never get caught. Once they hear and see, and they'll know that some are caught, it will probably greatly reduce people who do it as well. So, one other thing, and this is for the school districts and why we have people from Nazareth College and from Greece here. There's also, this is not part of the three-point plan because that's law enforcement we're doing, but there obviously is need for some mental health services to deal with the trauma that many kids may expect. And the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which I put together, was bipartisan like most of the things we do, has money for programs called Stop School Violence. And $1 billion of that goes to school-based mental health services grants. So to our superintendent, Mr. Bruno, I will help you try to get that grant, and then you can hire counselors and others. And to show you, it's last year, Nazareth College, in conjunction with the Greece School District, got $2.6 million, and they're going to train, Nazareth is going to train 40 social workers and mental health therapists to work in all the Greece schools. That's a big district, where there are 90,000 people or 100,000 people in Greece. So it's a big place. But we can do the same thing here for you. And I pledge to you we'll help you get these funds. And my great Chris Zeltman, who does such a great job for us, as our Rochester representative, will work with you and help you apply with our health experts. And that's a national model. And you could partner maybe with a college, Nazareth, or another college that might want to do this, or you can apply on your own. You'll decide when you talk to Chris. Okay? Okay, so that's where we're at. The bottom line is this is serious stuff, heartbreaking stuff. And we're going to do everything. I pledge as majority leader. I'm the first majority leader from New York State ever. But I'm going to use everything I can to stop this evil swatting from hurting our kids, our parents, our teachers, our administrators, and our communities, and our country. So with that, we have a list of speakers, which I misplaced. Here we go. First speaker is, of course, Superintendent Bruno, who, as I said, does a great job here in Brockport School District.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Schumer, for coming here and for all you've done and all you continue to do. And we'll take you up on your offer.
Good, good.
So I'd like to use this opportunity to formally announce my candidacy for, just kidding.
Superintendent of Brockport School District.
That's being echoed by my Board of Education members right now. I have several people to thank this afternoon, but before I do that, I think it's important to share some information. And I think the first important point here is that I've had the good fortune to work with Senator Schumer while he assisted another school district that I've been a part of, so I know when he says he'll get things done, he gets things done.
Right,
so we appreciate you. It was.
Yeah.
That's a long story, and I don't want to keep anyone there for that, but thank you.
Yeah.
But Senator Schumer, on a serious note.
Now, by the way, that is not Mexico, the country, but
Yeah.
there's a town in New York State in central New York called Mexico, New York. That's what it was. Okay.
Right off of Lake Ontario, yeah. So, Senator, there are two important pieces of information that we need you to take back to Washington with you. The first is, obviously, you spoke about the impact of swatting, and that is a very important point, and it can't be stressed enough. And the second, we want everyone in Washington to know that we are using the resources that you've provided us in a very responsible manner, and I'll share with you how that's done. As everyone knows, our schools should be trusted, safe spaces where our students and our staff and our visitors not only are safe but feel comfortable in them. This should be a sacred part of our society, not just in Brockport, not just our state, and not just our country, but throughout the world. It's incredibly important to understand how even one single hoax 911 call can erode that trust, and how traumatic that such an event is for everyone involved. I ask that you all just indulge me for a moment and visualize what I'm about to describe. Think of back to when you were in school. It's a typical day. It's passing time. You're walking through the halls with your friends. You're probably sharing what a great lesson you just heard, and you're excited for the next lesson. I see some smirks there. But it's a great day. You're having a good time with your friends, and it's a little downtime in between classes. Suddenly, without warning, over the PA system you hear, "Please get to your next class as quickly as possible, and we will go into a hold in place." Think about how you feel. Think about your heart skipping a beat and starting to become anxious and nervous, trying to remember, where do we need to go? Where do we need to go? Let's go there quick. Who goes where? As students are rushing to their next classes, we have our teacher aides, hall monitors, student support partners, cafeteria monitors, custodians, administrators, clerical staff. Everyone in the building is helping people to get to where they need to be and get things organized to ensure we're as safe as possible. Everyone is scared of what could be happening. Our students are scared, our adults are scared. But our adults push away their fears to take care of our students. Once everyone arrives where they're supposed to be, doors are locked behind them. It's a sound that's hard to forget. Once doors are locked, even in a hoax situation, we have to search the school. So think about that. You're in your classroom, and you're trying to be calm, but you're scared. And the next thing you see are officers walking by your classroom, searching the building. You have no idea if this is a routine search or if it's a real danger, which just increases the already high levels of anxiety and stress for everyone involved, students and staff. Students are wondering if they're ever going to see their parents again. Adults are wondering, am I ever going to see my family again? One single phone call causes trauma to 1,200 people in this building and thousands outside of this building. After what seems like eternity, everyone receives communication that we were swatted, and out of abundance of caution, our police officers double-checked our building. We used the line, "At no time was anyone ever in danger," as though that's going to help. But it's too late. The damage is done. Innocence is lost. And our sense of safety is eroded. But we must continue on with the school day. Our educators, all of our staff, put their worries and their anxieties aside, and they heroically comfort our children and our young people and try to resume a normal day. Parents are worried for their children. Families outside are worried about our staff members. Threats such as these don't only disrupt education, but they take a toll on the mental, social, and emotional well-being of our students, our staff, and our families. We must model caring, kindness, patience, and acceptance for our students so that our next generation can make the world a better place. However, we must also model not tolerating violence or acts such as swatting. We must find the responsible individual or individuals, we must hold them accountable, and we must ensure that they never do it again. So I thank you, Senator Schumer, for helping us to do that.
Appreciate it.
In Brockport, we're fortunate to have an incredible team. And the team consists of everyone, really. Our staff, our law enforcement partners, and our community members. Although there was prior knowledge of the hoax calls, our law enforcement agency immediately responded. As soon as the 911 call was received, 3 law enforcement agencies, including SUNY Brockport, Brockport Police, and Monroe County Sheriff, responded. You need to know that while the officers were on their way, they called our security team's video room and were able to assess what was happening not only inside our school but on our campus as they were responding. So that's another good point. We have a video room where we have a wall full of monitors that monitors every camera in the district. That's both inside of schools and outside. And although they had an accurate assessment of the situation, our law enforcement partners directed a hold in place so they could search our school out of abundance of caution. And while the search was very uncomfortable for many, I am thankful. Everyone needs to understand that while it may be a false call and we may have really understood that, it doesn't mean everyone's safe. There could be an incident and the hoax call could just be a coincidence. The caller could be hoaxing to direct law enforcement to one area of our community so they can target another. I am proud to inform you that law enforcement response time from the initial 911 call to arriving in this building was less than 2 minutes.
Great.
Can we give a round of applause for our law enforcement officials? Thank you. That kind of response time and that kind of response not only comes from the relationships that we have and we cultivate, but it also comes from the resources provided to our district, the resources that the federal and state government provide to law enforcement agencies, to our partners, SUNY Brockport, and to our community agencies. So we are grateful for the funding we've received and the new grants, and we will take you up on them. And we use the funding wisely. So please inform your colleagues in Washington that the return on their investments is extremely high.
With the most precious resource we have, our children.
Yes. So I'd like to thank some people. I want to thank our teachers and all of the adults in our school that had to push their fears aside that day, in spite of what was happening in our school, around our school, and in national events that week, and take care of our students who were traumatized, who had anxiety, who were scared. And they helped comfort them and make sure that they were able to feel safe and comfortable and move forward with their day. I want to thank our administrators, which includes our technology department, who lead us through these incidents. It's not an easy task to remain calm under these kind of pressures. And I want to thank our Board of Education for all the support they give us. I also want to thank our Brockport security team, our student support partners, our Brockport Village Police, the SUNY Police, Monroe County Sheriff, and the FBI. This is the second time we've worked with them on something, and they really have the power. We had a bomb threat, and they were able to not only locate when, where, and who, but right down to the exact location that call came from.
Right.
It is pretty amazing.
They're amazing. Yep.
So we do need their help, and we thank you for getting them involved. And most importantly, Senator Schumer, your visit here today and your work is so critically important to ensure safe, secure, and comfortable schools where children can flourish and reach their fullest potentials. We thank you for coming here today. We thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent.
And again, you see why he's an outstanding superintendent. And I just do want to thank the whole Brockport School District, not just for their response, but for the good job you do every day, giving our kids a bright, happy future, which we appreciate, and I know you will appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Under Sheriff Corey Brown from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Under Sheriff, thank you so much.
Thank you,
coming.
Senator.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank the Senator for bringing this to the focus. You know, in Monroe County, we've had quite a few incidents lately of these types of calls, either calls to 911. I know on 3 separate occasions in Hilton, we had emails where they were sent saying there was a bomb in the school, and it disrupted the school day on 3 separate days for the entire community of Hilton. These cannot continue to go unpunished. Sometimes we write warrants to try to find out who called in, and it comes back to us as unknown. That can never be the case. So I'm looking forward to the resources you're going to give to the FBI And the fact that, you know, everyone's mentioned here multiple times, we need to hold these people accountable. We need to find out who they are, no matter where they are in the world. The ones from Hilton were not from our community, they were from overseas, and hold them accountable no matter where they are. As the senator mentioned, there was a threat received dispense report this week when school's out. Everyone here knows that school's out. But where they're coming from, they don't know. They're just sending them all over the world, all over the United States, trying to get a reaction. Trying to get, in Spencer Port's case, trying to get money back. We need to be able to track them down. We need the software and the equipment so that no matter where you call from, no matter where you send the email from, we can track you down and go and get you. These are our precious resources, our children. Like the senator, I have 3 grandkids in school and 1 in pre-K. We need to protect them. They need to come to school and realize it's a safe place to be so they can be with their friends and so they can just go about and learn and be excited about their next class as long as it's gym or lunch. Right? But this is what we owe them. We need to keep them safe. And I know that our deputies, when they get these calls, we treat them all like it's the real thing. And they're coming, and he said they responded within 2 minutes. We had law enforcement here. Right? We have a lot of heroes that put our uniform on every day and protect our community and are willing to go wherever to protect our precious resources. And just like everyone else in this room, right, our deputies are parents.
Yeah.
They have sons and daughters that are going to school, maybe going to school here, with the same concerns that everyone else has. These are not what our kids should be thinking about. Our kids should not be thinking about these attacks, thinking about if I'm safe. You know, we can never say enough about the teachers that are trying to deal with the mental health and the stability of our children that are hearing this, and it's just somebody calling from who knows where, which we'll find out, right? We're going to find out where who knows where is, and we're going to track that person down and hold them accountable. And so I'm just so thankful for the senator to step up like this and say that swatting is important and we're not going to tolerate it. And we're going to find out who's doing it, and we're going to come after you. You know, this ties up countless resources. Look, we had 3 departments that responded here that day for a false call. That means they're not out in their communities, and they're not out dealing with other issues that are going on. They're all here. When you get a bomb threat to a school, it's a tremendous resource draw on the community. We can't tolerate that. So we can't let this seem like it's not a big deal, because it is. And we need to treat it like that. So I'm very excited to see the majority leader say it's a big deal, and we're going to deal with it. I just want to say that we can never forget that our kids are the most important thing. And we need to, as a community, do everything we can to protect them. And I know that all of those in law enforcement are here to do just that. We're here to bring safety to scenes that are not safe. Unfortunately, we've had crazy things happen throughout our communities, throughout the country. And we will be there to bring safety to the school, to bring safety to the community, because that's what we do. And so we just thank you for the support that you're giving us, and we look forward to the continued support and tracking this person down. And I'm looking forward to doing the same press conference with the senator when we find out who did this, and we're holding them accountable.
You bet.
Thank you, Senator.
Great job, Sheriff. Thank you. Let me thank the sheriff and all the men and women in his department, which do such a great job here in Monroe County. Thank you very much. And finally, not only does our law enforcement do a great job, but we know our teachers do. It's an amazing profession, a very important profession, and they care about the kids, and they do a great job, and they're traumatized like everybody else. But as was mentioned by both the sheriff and the superintendent, even though they're worried about themselves, they go to protect our children. And we've seen instances, unfortunately, in other schools in the country where teachers have given their lives to protect the children. So we know how important that is. So let me call up Andrew Jordan from the New York State United Teachers Board of Directors and co-president of the BOCES United Professionals. Thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm a social studies teacher, and I know it's spring break, but I'll try to keep my lesson to only 30 minutes. Seriously. Swatting causes panic and emotional harm among students, educators, parents, and all of our school communities. As a father and a teacher, I know the anxiety and fear they cause, even when law enforcement determines that these threats to be unfounded. Every threat must be taken seriously, and on behalf of the 650,000 educators, healthcare workers, and school-related professionals of New York State, thank you, law enforcement, Undersheriff for your continued diligence, you and your partners in law enforcement. I've been a teacher for 23 years. I know fully a scared mind cannot learn, which is why school safety is and always will be our very top priority. It is also why I join Senator Schumer in calling for the full weight of the federal government to investigate and crack down on these attacks. Educators, policymakers, school leaders, as we stand here today, we all must work together to keep schools a place where students and staff feel safe. I was just joking about the 30 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. And I wouldn't be here today if a social studies teacher in 9th grade, Mrs. Wagner, didn't influence me. So here we are. Okay, we're going to take questions on this, and we thank our great students for being here. When we look at you, we see this is all worthwhile to do what we're doing. Questions from the media? Yes.
You mentioned requesting $10 million. Where would that request come from, and would it require legislation?
Yes, it will come from the upcoming budget this summer as majority leader, and this is going to be bipartisan. This is not a partisan issue, obviously. My guess is there are a mixture of Democrats and Republicans up here. So it will be in the upcoming budget, which we do this summer. But I'm telling the FBI, when I tell them that it's going to be there, they can start using resources and take it from a few other places so they can start getting on this job much more immediately.
You're confident that it'll pass?
Absolutely, yes. Any other questions?
Have the FBI started working on this specific request?
I have sent them this request. They're very positive about it. They've been involved as some of our, but they need all hands on deck. They need more resources. They need more personnel. As the sheriff mentioned, we can track these people anywhere, but it takes a lot of resources and it takes a lot of computer time and all that other stuff.
There was a lot of talk up here earlier about the cost, the emotional cost, the financial cost of these types of incidents. You've been railing against this for a long time. I have the news clips to prove it.
Yes.
2015, you introduced legislation that would have imprisoned convicted swatters up to 8 years in prison, and I think had them pay restitution in the neighborhood of up to $10,000
Per
incident.
right.
That bill died in committee, and there have been other bills that have.
Right,
have
but we
looked
have,
on swatters.
yes,
So what
we have increased the penalties. I am, when they catch these swatters, they will get big, strong criminal penalties. The one thing we have to make sure of is not the penalty on the books, but the prosecutor goes all out. No plea bargaining, no cutting this back, how serious it is. If the prosecutor was here in this class, in this library today, they would be sure to do that. Being here, people seeing what's actually happening and what's going on is so important. But the penalties are there.
And if we do find,
In other words, they're covered by other parts. This was direct swatting, but there are other broader parts of the law that apply to this.
how are we going to bring them here to be able to?
That's a great question. Well, with many, it depends where they're from. If they're from the United States, obviously. With about 30 or 40 countries in the world, we have extradition treaties, so we can bring them. But if we don't, there are ways we get them. We deal with them, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Okay? All right, I want to thank again our school district. I want to thank the kids. You're what it's all about. And I want to thank everybody for being here. For me, people say, okay, you know, this is my 5th term as senator. First time ever someone had 5 terms as senator. Why do you keep coming around and around and around? When you come here and look at the kids and hear what law enforcement and the administrators and teachers have done, it just paints it in real life. And it makes me just going to put everything I have into getting this done. So I thank you for that. It's different than reading about it or talking to someone on the phone. So thank you all. And I particularly want to thank our great kids. Thank you very much, kids. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and a good holiday to all. What grade are you? He's getting out of here. What grade are you? 8? 6? 10? 11? 11. We love you. Thank you very, very much. As a parent and a grandparent. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Superintendent.
Thank you.
So we'll work with you on these grants.
Yeah.
Thanks, that was really well done.